Syndrome, a deadly disease that breaks down the body's ability to fight disease. Tonight, medical experts are telling Channel 2 News AIDS is not a disease that affects only gays, Haitians, or hemophiliacs. Tonight, in light of this information, we're going to take a new look at AIDS. How widespread is it? What can be done about it? And is the government doing everything it can to help find a cure? To help answer those questions, we have two reports. First, health editor Steve Gendell. Steve?
All right, let me begin with the latest figures from Los Angeles County. Today, they show 56 new cases of AIDS diagnosed here locally last month. That brings the national total now to about 10,000 cases of AIDS. And what doctors are telling me is that everyone with more than one sexual partner is at risk. And I don't mean just gays, everyone. You know, that's one of the problems with AIDS. We keep saying it's someone else's problem, not our own. You know, straights say it's a gay problem. Gays say it's a problem of other gays, only those with exotic habits. But the fact is, in Central Africa, where the disease may have started, AIDS is a disease of all segments of the population. And now, here in this country, AIDS has come out of the closet.
I think AIDS should be a general population concern. It is, in my view at least, the #1 public health problem in our nation.
Today there are documented transmissions of AIDS from men to women and women to men, with 1% of the cases now occurring outside of high-risk groups. 1% may not seem like a lot, but that's where the gay community stood with AIDS just 5 to 8 years ago. Heterosexuals, it seems, may just lag behind. But the fact is, AIDS never was just a gay disease. In the United States and Europe, it first spread through segments of the gay community only because they formed a cohesive group with frequent exchange of sexual partners, a group vulnerable to the spread of a deadly disease.
Too many people are dying too young. They are dying horrible deaths, frequently abandoned by friends and family. The reality of having AIDS can be pretty awful.
Today, half the people in this country who had AIDS have died. The other half, as dramatized by a mass for AIDS victims this weekend, could just be waiting for the inevitable. So far, no one with AIDS has ever recovered. Is the situation hopeless? Will AIDS defeat modern medicine? Will it spread unchecked through our population like a plague? What we know about the situation is this. AIDS is caused by a virus, a relative of the human leukemia virus. Antibodies, signs of infection, can be spotted and tracked in the blood. The test tube on the left is positive for AIDS. Despite the number of victims, the virus is not easy to catch and appears to spread only through intimate contact. Even among people who are infected, only 10% will get the disease we recognize as AIDS, and that could take up to 5 years before symptoms appear. 25% will get milder symptoms. 2/3 of those infected may get no symptoms at all. But everyone infected, and that could be up to 1 million Americans, may be able to spread the virus, whether they have the symptoms or not.
That's how the numbers have gotten as high as they have. And yes, that is scary.
Recently, experts from all over the world gathered in Atlanta to discuss AIDS and progress, if any, being made against it. The consensus is a vaccine to prevent AIDS will be more difficult than first anticipated. The AIDS virus, much like the flu, can change and hide from a vaccine. So the emphasis has switched to drugs to try and cure it. Drugs like ribavirin in Atlanta and a medicine called Suramin at USC.
The immune system seems to have improved rather nicely in 2 out of the 4 who have been treated for 5 weeks now. As far as side effects are concerned, they seem to be certainly tolerable.
But bear in mind, only 4 patients have been tested here with Suramin so far, and important questions remain. Does the drug actually kill the virus, affording a permanent cure? Or does it just inhibit the virus so that once the drug is stopped, the infection can return? If that's the case, patients would have to stay on the drug for a lifetime.
And where Dr. Levine is encouraged by early results, others are afraid it's too soon to get their hopes up. And Dr. Finn admits he came away from the Atlanta conference discouraged.
everyone, I think, went hoping that we'd come away with knowledge of what was going to end this for us, and I don't think anyone was given that pleasure.
In the meantime, though, there are things we can do to protect ourselves. Doctors say it's safest for everyone, again, not just homosexuals, for everyone to limit the number of sexual partners, to use prophylactics, and to learn which sexual practices carry the highest risk. But, you know, that requires education. Education costs money, and that's where the politicians come in. And Channel 2 political editor Linda Douglas has been looking into that side of the story.
All right, Steve. Since the AIDS virus began mysteriously killing off members of the gay community, gay leaders have sought help from all levels of government, funds for research into the causes and a cure, and money to teach gays how to guard against contracting the disease through sexual encounters. Yet gays argue the government did not consider AIDS important because it was seen as a gay disease. And now those gay leaders blame what they call government resistance for fueling the epidemic.
The government just really has not acknowledged that the problem exists to the extent that it is the nation's #1 health crisis.
Gay leaders say the government didn't pay serious attention to AIDS as long as it appeared to be confined mostly to the gay community. But the Reagan administration sharply disagrees, arguing millions have been spent on research and prevention. Health Secretary Margaret Heckler has regularly announced breakthroughs in the battle against AIDS.
With discovery of both the virus and this new process, we now have a blood test for AIDS, which we hope can be widely available within about 6 months.
Secretary Heckler has declared AIDS the nation's #1 health priority. Yet this year, despite the spiraling number of AIDS cases, the administration is proposing to cut the budget for fighting AIDS from $106 million to $86 million. Congressman Henry Waxman says angrily, if AIDS affected members of the Chamber of Commerce, the administration would act immediately. Gays blame pressure from the religious right, some of whom argue AIDS is God's revenge for homosexual behavior. Indeed, even presidential advisor Pat Buchanan wrote 2 years ago, "The poor homosexuals, they have declared war on nature, and now nature is exacting an awful retribution."
I don't think that anyone deserves this disease. It's not a disease that should be brought on anybody in the world.
Some conservative groups argue the money that is spent on AIDS should be used to protect the nation's blood supply, rather than on an educational campaign to tell gays how to have so-called safe sex.
All this money that's being spent, yes, is being controlled by the gays, in essence. They are controlling it, they're funneling it to their communities, but who's protecting the general public? And does the general public really want to be in a position of underwriting a public relations campaign for the gay communities when we really should be dealing with an epidemic?
But gays argue education, like this ad promoting safe sex habits, is the key to stopping the spread of the disease. For that, they argue more LA County money is needed, money from the Board of Supervisors.
I have not heard the word AIDS out of a single supervisor's mouth except Supervisor Edelman.
The county spent nearly $2 million on AIDS education this year, with a similar amount proposed next year. County officials believe they are doing a good job within limited local resources.
Everyone always hopes that a situation will be improved by a huge inpouring of money. I think there are 2 points here. One, does that huge amount of money exist? And I don't believe that it does. And 2, you want to be really certain that what you pour it into is going to be effective.
But the demand for government money is becoming more urgent as the number of cases grows. Next year, LA County expects to spend at least $8 million on treating AIDS patients. That's compared to $3 million this year. But that is money the county must spend. The growing debate is over the money that governments elect to spend. Increasingly, as no vaccine or cure is in sight, the argument is made more is needed for education to prevent the spread of the disease. However, influential congressmen believe that research is still the key. Advocates for the curing of AIDS say that both are very necessary. The administration says it stands ready to allocate more money when it is proved that more money will bring a solution.